I earned an Azure job making over $250,000 a year. I got some certifications to help me get that job, and now I want to tell you honestly how those certifications came into play in me getting that role. If this is helpful, I'd appreciate it if you liked the video and subscribe to this channel if you want to see more content like this. So let's tell a story. When I was getting my Azure role making over $250,000 a year, I decided that some certifications would probably be helpful to show credibility and understanding in certain areas of technology to prove my knowledge. I was going for the Developer Associate certification, and I passed that exam. With my software development background, I thought it would be helpful to know more about Azure and show that I know how to build applications within Azure. Since I had already had Azure experience in the past, I thought it would be helpful to have one of these certifications. So I got that Developer Associate certification. I also knew that infrastructure as code and building repeatable, automated infrastructure in the cloud was going to be important because DevOps was on the rise and was very important and still is in terms of how we build applications and cloud solutions for the long term. So I decided to get the Terraform Associate certification from HashiCorp to show that I knew how to build applications using infrastructure as code in Azure. Kubernetes is something that I've always been interested in. I led the container team at my software engineering role in the past, and so I decided to get the Kubernetes certified application developer certification, also known as CCAD, in order to prove my knowledge in Kubernetes and containers so that an employer would know that that's something I could use as well on the job. Kubernetes is a challenge for a lot of people, and it can be very complex. So I learned a lot from this certification, and it was a great learning experience, definitely challenge, but I was really proud when I finally got that certification. So let's talk about how these certifications helped me. So after I got the Azure role that made over $250K a year, I looked back at how these certifications played a role. And one of the first things I noticed is that not all the certification material was directly applicable to what I ended up using the material for. So my Azure Developer Associate exam had some questions that were programming language specific. There were questions about C# functions in the cloud, and I was surprised by that because I'm a Python and Node.js developer at heart. And so I didn't feel that the specific C# related questions were something that should be on that type of exam, since it wasn't Azure specific. It was more programming language specific for something you would do in Azure. So I thought that was strange. The testing does not always align, in my opinion, with the real world scenarios when you have multiple choice questions for something like the HashiCorp exam. There's the expectation that you are going to choose the best answer based on the situation, which you can choose what you think is the best answer, but in the real world, sometimes there's equally the best answer. And so it's tough to think about how the testing would expect you to know the best answer when you're not going to have multiple choice questions. In the real world, you're just going to have to figure it out, and sometimes you're choosing the multiple solutions that will get you to the same answer. In addition, when it comes to testing itself, there's an expectation of being able to complete the exam in a timely manner. There is being able to read fast enough to get through all the questions and know how to answer them quickly, thinking clearly about the full scenarios. As someone who struggled with testing growing up, I was always the last one to finish tests in my education career growing up. This is a struggle that I faced, and for anybody who's a bad test taker or just a slow reader, isn't something that would properly articulate their knowledge on a subject if they're not able to get through all the questions. So I don't love that testing aspect that doesn't give you the opportunity to really prove what you know. And then I thought that there was very little interest in the people that I spoke to, my employers, when I was showcasing the certificates that I got. Not very many people seemed to be very impressed. with the ones that I got. Even the CCAD certification is, in my opinion, the hardest certification I earned. And I had one person say, wow, that's a really great certification. Good job for doing that. But it didn't seem to spark as much interest as the portfolio projects that I built and had on my website. So I found that the portfolio projects were much more interesting to employers than any of the certifications at all. And I got much more questions about those and much more praise about those as well. So what do we do with all this? The thing that made the difference for me and what you should do is build an online portfolio. I found that the certifications weren't the best use of my time. And I would encourage other people to take that same time that you would spend on learning the material for a certification and then practicing for the exam or the test, and spend that same time instead building projects, live projects on an online website. Get a domain with your name, buy it at a domain registrar. It can be super cheap, and then just host a website where you can then put live portfolio projects that you build to showcase your knowledge and have them live on the website so that employers and people can see and interact with those projects. And it proves your knowledge so much more than a piece of paper that claims as a certification that you know a certain amount of knowledge. And build projects not just based on what you're interested in, build them specific to the target role that you're going for. So if you're applying for an Azure AI engineering role, look up the job description at the company that you applied for based on the requirements for that job. Build portfolio projects that are directly related to the technologies and the requirements listed so that when you go back to that employer, you have a portfolio of projects that are directly aligned to the target role. This is much better than even just having a portfolio of projects that have all kinds of different subjects and industries and technologies involved. So in conclusion, certifications are good. They showcase some level of knowledge to some degree, and an employer can see someone has a certification and they can know this person at least can take a test and pass it with some level of understanding on a topic. But while a certification is good, portfolio projects are great. It's a big difference for an employer to see someone has a list of certifications versus a list of live portfolio projects that prove a skill versus something that claims a skill. So proving the skill with a live portfolio project is always going to be greater than another piece of paper that just says you know something. It proves the real world knowledge that you just can't have or get anywhere else. People struggle saying there's a lack of experience. They don't have years of experience knowing certain technologies, doing certain roles. But when you're building an online portfolio of projects, you gain that experience in the building process. And finally, as you build an online portfolio to showcase your knowledge in a specific technology area, if you get lost, if you feel stuck, and if you don't know where to go as you're building, get help. I have an online community at school.com/Microsoft-Azure, and you can get help on that platform or many other types of groups that exist out there. And if you want more dedicated help, I'm currently running a program to help 5 technology professionals earn more with Microsoft Azure. Whether you're looking to get a high-paying Azure role, similar to the way I did with my $250K Azure role, or if you're just looking to upskill and have other goals related to Azure, I can help you. So you can apply for this Tech Pro Azure Roadmap program that I'm putting together in the description, and we'll have a conversation at that point. If this video was helpful, I'd appreciate it if you liked the video and subscribe to this channel if you want to see more content like this. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments below. I answer every question to help as many people as I can. And as always, thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.